So the HTC 10 is finally out now, and a lot of reviewers have already had it for a while, but I'm not that special. I have to buy it just like everyone else. And I've had this opportunity to own the device for 24 hours now. Like, it's pretty much exactly 24 hours. And there's a few things I want to cover on the device, from the software to the build quality to the camera to the sound, just everything like that. It's basically going to be a full review of the device, but just coming from a 24-hour perspective. So I'm going to try to cover everything. And then, of course, I'm going to cover everything again, or the important things again, when I feel like it's the right time. So definitely hit that subscribe button so you do know when I make another HTC 10 video. And just so you guys know, I have 13 stitches on my back. So if you want to hear that story, stick around to the end. I'll talk about it then. Maybe I'll show it to you. I've never been that personal before. So let's talk about the physical build, the physical characteristics of the phone first. Obviously, this device is really good looking, to me at least. It's this full metal unibody design. The metal feels a lot stronger than like the Nexus 6P, and bend tests have already proven this device is a lot stronger as well. The build quality is really good. Let's see. They did away with the boom sound speakers. They still call it that, but we don't have the dual front-facing speakers anymore. We have one at the top, and then we have one at the bottom. And through some tricky software techniques, it's supposed to kind of simulate dual front-facing speakers. It certainly doesn't sound the same, but the audio is pretty good. It does get pretty loud. I would say it's better than the Galaxy S7 and like the LG V10. Definitely kicks the butt of those two. Don't know so much about comparing it to like the Nexus 6P though. I think the Nexus 6P wins, but the audio is still pretty good. Another really great physical quality of the HTC 10 is the fingerprint scanner at the bottom. It kind of resembles like the Galaxy S7 fingerprint scanner, just like the position it's in, but it's not a physical home button. It's actually, I wouldn't even say capacitive, it's just like a fingerprint scanner. So you tap your finger, and it immediately turns it on. You don't have to press a button, you don't have to do anything like that. So it behaves the same way as the Nexus 6P, where it's just a tap and it turns the phone on and you're good. Phones like the Galaxy S7, you have to physically press the button. The LG V10, same thing. So I really do appreciate that you just do a quick tap and it's good, it's quick. And of course, you know, it's not going to accidentally do it in your pocket because it's not going to register a fingerprint. It looks really cool, and I know for a fact there's going to be a new technology coming out where we can put fingerprint scanners underneath the glass. So I can certainly see the HTC 11 being just completely glass with the fingerprint scanner on the bezel. That would be amazing. Next physical quality we'll talk about is the camera, the front and the back. So the back camera, it's a 12 megapixel camera. They still call it like a, what am I trying to say? They still call it an ultra pixel, but I'm not so sure if it's basically the same ideology they were going with before. At least it's 12 megapixels now and not like a really small sub 10 megapixel number. And the front-facing camera is really cool. It's 5 megapixels, but it also has optical image stabilization. And when you look at it, it looks a little bit more complex. It's got a little bit more depth to it than most front-facing cameras. So I like that. I did a test already. You can kind of tell, you can kind of see the optical image stabilization in action, but it's not as good as I'd like it to be. But definitely props to HTC for making this the first phone in the world with optical image stabilization in the front. That's really nice. So on just to the edges of the phone. So the bottom of the device, we have the USB Type-C port with the speaker and the microphone. On the left side of the device, we have the micro SD card slot. And surprisingly, on the right-hand side, we have the SIM card slot. Very interesting that they separated them, but it's pretty cool because now that we have Android 6.0, devices are capable of using the SD card as internal memory. So if we're doing that, we don't want to take out the memory card when the phone's on. So if we want to pop out a SIM card, we can still do that without affecting the storage. And underneath the SIM card slot is the volume rocker and then the power button. Kudos to HTC because these are probably some of the best buttons I've touched in tech. The volume rocker is super clicky, like it's very tactile. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, it is freaking 10.1. And the volume button is really nice. Like, you touch it, it's very like jagged, if that's the correct word to use, but in a good way. So you can definitely differentiate between the volume and the power button very easily. So really good kudos to HTC. And we do have the normal like antenna band lines around the device. The LG G5 apparently did away with those, but from what I heard, they just kind of like painted over them. I didn't really look into the full story of that, so I won't get into that, but the antenna lines aren't too bad. It's just kind of the cost of a metal unibody to phone. And then last but not least, the top, we have the micro. That is not a micro. We have the audio port at the top. So I basically told you all the physical qualities of the device just from looking at it. It's a really nice device to hold. It's honestly the perfect size to me. I could maybe go a tad smaller even, but it feels really good in the hand. It's very solid. Kudos to HTC. You're making me have a very hard time deciding if the HTC 10 or the Galaxy S7 is my favorite phone right now, and that's a good thing. So on to the software. The software is one thing where you can easily sway someone to the HTC 10 if they don't like TouchWiz or heavily modified UI. When you turn on the phone, if you weren't a seasoned Nexus user, you would think this is stock Android, and it's very close. It's got a few kind of HTC tweaks here or there, but for the most part, it's really unadulterated. It's a virgin. So that's really great. Android 6.0, like we all know, it has a really cool feature called Doze. So when you set your phone down, the device detects that and knows you're probably not using it, so it kind of puts it in a very low power Zen state. So when you look at your battery usage, most likely it's going to be very flat. It's decreasing very little. If you're the type of person that doesn't charge your phone at night, you're going to see really good results from that, the Doze feature of Android 6.0. And the battery life, just to kind of chime in on that, I really don't want to give an official opinion on battery, just owning it for 24 hours. But it is 4 o'clock, and I'm at 44%. That's pretty good. That's going to tell me I'm going to get through most of the day. I'm going to get into bedtime, of course. The only phone I know that has a worse battery than that is the LG V10. That phone, by now, I would have to have had it plugged into the wall because it would be at literally 0% right now. So at least the HTC 10 has that going for it. It's got a pretty good battery. I don't really know for sure if it's as good as the Galaxy S7, but I'm kind of putting them about equal right now. And the camera, now that we talk about the Galaxy S7 again, because you're going to hear that a lot from me, because the two devices are really good, and they're really the two right now that are kind of competing for my favorite phone. So the Galaxy S7 and the HTC 10. The HTC 10, the one thing where I feel like the S7 does really win is the camera department. Now, don't get me wrong, the HTC 10 is really good. The camera, it's a 12 megapixel camera. It's the latest flagship? It's the latest flagship device, so obviously it's going to be a good camera. But the focusing isn't really there. The Galaxy S7, like, the focusing blew me away. You could walk around, freaking like go back and forth like this, and it would just focus so quick. It really impressed me. Even with taking pictures, it would really focus. With this thing, the HTC 10, I kind of have to give it some, encouragement. I have to do tap to focus a lot. It does do autofocus, but it's not as quick. Good camera, good improvement from the previous HTC devices, because HTC was really struggling with their cameras. It's an improvement, but if the S7 camera was in here, it'd be a lot better device. I like that the back is not glass, because the fingerprint magnet abilities of the S7 is crazy. This thing, you can like rub it, you can lick it, and it doesn't smear. I distracted myself. Tastes like metal. So I do appreciate that. So if you do drop the device, it's probably not going to crack. Well, I won't say probably. It has a lower chance of cracking versus the S7, which is basically unibody glass design. This has got some metal all around the edges, which I would assume would absorb the impact to protect the screen. And allow me just to get into this really quick while we're talking about it. The HTC 10 has something called uh-oh protection, which would be amazing to me, because the S7, if you have not seen, I recently had to pay $160 to get Samsung to replace the phone, which I will link to my experience about that below and maybe put a card up here. But anyway, The OO protection of the HTC 10 means if you drop the device, if it gets water damage, anything like that, they'll replace it one time. So that's amazing. Like, that needs to be a feature of every phone. Because really, the manufacturer, it doesn't cost that much to fix it. It's $120 tops. And if you can win over some new customers, get you over to your brand, kudos to you, HTC. So that's all I got to say about that. Let me show you my stitches and give you the story. Basically, when I was little, I went in the sun a lot. I was very irresponsible, got burnt. There was even times where I would go to tanning beds, which it kills me to know I did that when I was little. I basically thought that beauty, I'll say beauty vaguely because I know I'm not beautiful, but I thought that beauty came from being tan and stuff like that. So I would go tanning. You know, when I went to the beach, I really wouldn't use sunscreen. I would get that like 1 or 2 burns of the year, be good, like peel really bad and then be tan. That's so bad for you. And now that I am older, I'm paying for it because I'm going to the dermatologist twice a year. They're doing like a skin exam on me, and as you can see, you know, I have quite a few moles on my body, which I just blame my mom for that. But anyway, some of those moles, when you get them checked out, they look what we like to call them, or like what the dermatologist calls them, they call them dysplastic. So moles can be like mildly dysplastic, moderately dysplastic, stuff like that. And that just means that they have a decent chance of turning it into melanoma or other forms of cancer. And the bad thing about melanoma is if you get melanoma and it's left untreated, that form of cancer can get into your blood. And once it's in your blood, it basically spreads to your whole body and it kills you. So basically, I'm going to turn this into a PSA. Wear sunscreen, wear UV resistant shirts. If you have any form of skin cancer in your family, in your genetics or whatever, go to the dermatologist. Go to the dermatologist at least once a year. If you live in a very sunny area like me in Florida, I go twice a year since I have a lot of moles, so I don't mind. It's basically saving my life in a sense. Like, what if I had a spot on my back? What if I had a spot on my body that was cancerous? I didn't know about it, and by the time I find out, it's too late. I would hate for my whole life to be risks just due to myself not being proactive. So I certainly digress 100% going from a cell phone to talking about skin cancer, but I just wanted to talk about that, kind of get it off my mind, because people these days value tan bodies with being sexy, and that's just not right. So yeah. And I will see you guys later. Tomorrow I am uploading an Uncharted 4 Collector's Edition unboxing because that game is coming out Tuesday, and I'm lucky enough to get the package early in the mail from Best Buy. So stick around for that tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do tomorrow. After that, can't make any promises because I'm going to be playing Uncharted for quite a while. I got to take it easy. You know, my back's got to heal. So I'll see you guys later. This video is sponsored by orange juice. Have a good day.